Hi there, I'm H. Victoria Hargro Atkerson. I'm an author and a writer, and I just released this particular book. This is Enslaved, and I would like you to pick it up because I think it's a valuable um, trek into the past where we review our slave history in the United States, simply because racial prejudices and abuse of people, misuse of people started back with the slavery times. Our history is there. If we're ever going to correct the situation or correct our attitudes, we need to go back and look at these things and see the reason why, kind of dissect it to make sure that we understand why it happened and what we're going to do to keep it from ever happening again. We should not be going through the same things we went through hundreds of years ago, which is the abuse and murders of our children, of our people, of our black men. That should not be happening. So, but we need to go back to the root of the problem and discuss it, and also rectify some of the injustices that have been perpetuated over the years. I take my hats off to New Orleans for taking down those Confederate statues. That's one of the things that will help to heal this country. The South lost that war, and they should be treated like any other person who loses a war. They shouldn't be glorified. Those statues should not be standing up for our children to watch and to look at. Those are not the values that the United States would like to perpetuate and to make it part of our fabric. We're justice, peace, freedom, liberty. Those are things that we're looking for, not oppression. So, thank you, New Orleans. Now, Enslaved is a trek into the past, as I said, and it's some of the parts of this goes back to our history in Africa and talks about the culture and the tribal life that these people led in Africa. The stories about an African princess and a member of her royal guard who are enslaved, and they end up on a slave ship. And it talks about their individual roles on that slave ship and how the fact that they were prominent leaders in the community, in their tribal life, they also became that on that slave ship and beyond. So take a look at this book. I think it'll be interesting reading. Even if you have no idea about slavery or life in the South on plantations, you'll get a good look at it. In order to do background work on this book, I visited many slave cabins on plantations throughout the South and talked to many of the caretakers on the property, did a lot of tours, and it was just very interesting, very interesting. One of the things that really caught my eye was the different jobs that enslaved people had during that time. In one of the houses, they had a chair sitting in the corner of a dining room, and with a rope, metallic rope attached to it, and it led to a fan or a grouping of fans over the dining room table. So I wondered what that was for, because nobody mentioned it. So the caretaker said, oh, during dinner time, one of the slaves would come in and sit in that chair and pull that rope to keep the people at the dinner table cool. I was like, really? Really? And she said that job was usually given to a child. It's amazing, our history. and how people saw us as not being human, being like a cattle on their farm. I mean, really, people. We need to go back and take a look at this. There are all kinds of stories about the jobs that enslaved people had. And I think in one of the books I read, I think that was Mandingo, where one slave was used to deem this illness out of an old person. So they would put them in bed with them and put their feet on them to take the illness away from the person that was sick. Like, really, people? It's amazing. One of the things I did like in visiting the slave cabins was the ingenuity of the Africans who were put in deprived conditions and horrendous housing. Over the years, one cabin had layers of fabric, paper, newspaper even, to insulate the walls so that the cold weather wouldn't come in and freeze them. They used tar and newspaper to make sure the cabin was warm for their children. If you're given nothing, how do you provide for your children? These wonderful people figured that out. So I celebrate that. I celebrate that. They weren't given any covers, so they took scraps of cloth and they made quilts. It is all but astounding to see what was created out of nothing. So if you get a chance and you're in the South, see if you can find some of these plantations and ask them if they have the slave quarters. It's quite interesting. It's an education altogether. So we have this book as a result of all that research. So be sure to pick up a copy. I think you're going to enjoy it, and you will learn interesting things. So thank you for listening. You take care. Love someone special, and love to you. Take care.